Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank God we have the seventh videos, okay, this time, because this is the last video before you take the mid test, yeah, through the online system that is same. Okay, previously we have to recite Umul Kitab first before going to the presentation of the case study today. Pray begin. Okay. In 10 minutes, I would like to have the theory and also the article as the example, the real one, dealing with the case study. Now we move on to the aim. Yeah. So, what is the aim of the case study? It aims in providing in-depth analysis of a single case or phenomenon. Okay, now we go to the characteristics of the case study. The first is particularistic, the second is descriptive, the third is holistic, and then the fourth is inductive. After knowing about the aims and also the characteristic, we move to the typology of case study. Here, there are four types. The first is neo-ethnographic, the second is evaluative, the third is multi-site, and then the last is action. About the first type, the neo-ethnographic, yeah, the description is the in-depth investigation of a single case by a participant observer. The evaluative type, it is an investigation carried out in order to evaluate policy or practice. How about the type of multi-site? It is a study carried out by several researchers on more than one site. The last type, that is the action one, it is an investigation carried out by a classroom practitioner in his or her professional context. Those are the types and the description of the typology about the case study. Now we go to the critical task confronting case study researcher. There are construct validity, internal validity, external validity, and reliability. How about this construct validity? Establishing correct operational measures for the concept being studied. For the internal validity, establishing a causal relationship whereby certain conditions are shown to lead to other conditions as distinguished from spurious relationships. Meanwhile, for the external validity, establishing the domain and population to which studies finding can be generalized. For the last item, talking about the reliability, demonstrating that the study can be replicated with similar result. Those are the critical tasks confronting case study researcher. The next one is about the problems associated with single case research design, coming from the ethical objection, and then the practical problem, averaging of result, generality of finding, and then the last is intersubject variability. Now we move to the practicality. Here we go to the example related to the case study as the fourth research tradition in the qualitative method. So this article entitled Scaffolding in English Classroom, a case study of the teaching of English language to 8-year student. Coming from Eduline, Journal of Education and Learning Innovation, written by Fajrin Sunra, 2024. And then, talking about the aims of the study itself, there were two: how the teacher perceives the scaffolding strategy, and then the second of all is how the teacher applies scaffolding in teaching English. And then this one, using the qualitative description method, and collected data through observation and interview. Here, the observation process carried out in 2 meetings in class 8, okay ya, SMP 7 Makassar. And then the interview process was conducted with a teacher. Knowing about the keywords, we have 3 here: scaffolding strategies, perception, and EFL classroom. That's about a glance the description derived coming from the abstract and keywords. Now we go to the method itself. So the authors or the researchers, okay, or maybe the writers, okay, have the qualitative research. It is an approach centering on examining social phenomena and amplifying the viewpoints and impressions of the individuals who are being studied. And then about the design of descriptive qualitative research here, based on the one of the reference coming from Nasaji 2015. Here, the acquiring a more profound comprehension of the viewpoints, emotions, beliefs, or attitudes of the participants involved in the study. Descriptive qualitative methodology in this research is used to explain the data obtained in the form of a collection of words to answer the research questions about the practice of scaffolding strategy in the classroom. When and why teacher use scaffolding strategy in the classroom, as well as teacher perceptions of scaffolding practices. Here, the numbers of the students, there were 30, and then the study focused on the teachers, of course, English, okay, perception towards scaffolding strategy. And then the second item is the way the teacher applies scaffolding strategies in the class. There are the primary data collection instruments for this study were observation and interview. Later, the instruments were selected to gain a more comprehensive understanding of the implementation of scaffolding strategies in EFL classrooms and to also gain insight into the teacher perceptions of scaffolding strategies. Interview used in this research is semi-structured interview that include in-depth interview. Semi-structured interviews are used to their flexibility. In addition, the researcher added some follow-up questions if necessary. First, the researcher meets with the headmaster and asks permission to conduct the research. The second, the researcher meets the teacher and explains the purpose of the classroom observation and how to conduct it. The third, the researcher observes the teacher when they teach the students. Then the researcher observes and interviews the teacher's indicator of scaffolding strategy in the classroom. Lastly, the researcher concluded that the study findings were based on the data and the researcher's perspective. Here, there are 4 stages coming from Mel, Superman, and Saldana's theory, 2014. The first is data collection, aiming to provide and emphasize primary data. The second is data condensation, discard, and organize data in such a way that final conclusions can be drawn and verified. So it refers to the process of selecting, focusing, simplifying, abstracting, interview transcript, document, and other empirical materials. The third is data display, that the researcher analyze and describe the data qualitatively. The last here is drawing and verifying conclusion. So those are the sequence how to deal with the qualitative tradition, knowing as the case study. So I hope that before taking the mid test, you have finished all the videos, okay? You have to watch, you have to listen, and then take a note by yourself. Okay, thank you for your attention. See you next time after having the mid test. Okay, thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.